Good afternoon. 3 months ago, during my exam season, I still allow myself to my usual 15 or 30 minutes phone break before sleep. And it wasn't until that I came across videos of my peers, people my age, who were staying up all night until like 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., even pulling all-nighters to maximize every single minute they have into studying. And I hate them. Or rather, I hate how they make me feel. Because guilt hits me so hard that after those videos, I've been asking myself questions like, have I done enough? Should I be doing more? Should I even have these break times, spontaneous break times, while my peers are studying so hard? And after I have that mindset set on me, it wasn't just the workload that starts to become so much more exhausting, but carrying that mindset is already so exhausted. That's why I wanted to talk to you today about how acquiring the skill of wasting time or taking rests might be the best skill you can acquire in this day and age. And once you've fallen into that mindset of mine, you're kind of giving in to a burnout cycle. And the burnout cycle, to me, go through 4 stages. The first stage is toxic productivity. It starts with very good intentions, like being on schedules, making time boxes, using like tools to help you focus and be on time. But when that starts to become an obsession and you start to feel guilty about taking breaks that are outside of that schedule, that's when it becomes a problem. And this is where the all or nothing mindset comes in. You only start to see things in 2 extremes. You start to see failure or perfection, good or bad, doing something, productivity or laziness. You don't accept those in between, imperfections, or rest, which is in between. Whenever you feel like you need to take a rest, or when you think of rest, it feels like something time wasting. And second, the second stage, you come to start lying to yourself. Self-deception. You make a lot of progress, or like whatever progress you're making, you feel like it's not enough. Because this mirrors what is called the imposter syndrome. It is when you have a mindset, you believe that others are expecting something from you. Others are expecting you to live up to their expectations. And so whatever you do, whatever progress you make, you feel like you're not there yet. You're not meeting their expectations yet. So you keep lying to yourself that it's not enough and you need to work more, work more. And of course, the next stage is the fear of missing out. You start to not just be aware of how others think of you, but you're aware of how you think of others. Like, you look at others and they seem like they're doing so much better than you with same tasks, but they look fine. They manage their time fine and they don't feel pressured, while you're here feeling pressured. So you start feeling like taking rests aren't appropriate for you, because if everyone is managing just fine, why are you the only one that's having problems? So you push yourself more. You start giving all in. You sleep less. All you do is, and all you think of, is to be on that race with everyone. And ultimately, you give in to burnout. And this 4 stages and this cycle of burnout aligns with Christina Maslach's, a scientist on burnout work, where she describes burnout not as just a state of tiredness, but it is a very deep psychological state where it depletes your energy and also your ability to work, to rest, to feel joy. And I believe that most of you here have definitely experienced burnout, not just once, definitely. And you know how hard it is to bounce back from burnout. That's why today I have just one honest but very useful advice for you to take. To not let yourself fall into this cycle of burnout. That is, to give yourself a rest. I know that sounds very generic, but not any kind of rest that you can take. Because you need to understand the kind of rest you're getting to really get the real authentic rest that will benefit you. I want you to think and to reflect on these two aspects of rest that you're getting. First is how you rest. A lot of people think that resting is doing something unproductive, like scrolling on your phone, taking a walk, showering, eating an ice cream. That sure are activities of rest. But when you do those activities, is your mind really blank? Are you thinking of anything? Because if you're still thinking of something, if you're still anxious on like the assignments that you need to do in 5 days, that the small amount of time you have left for the day, if you're still anxious, then that is not rest. Because rest is meant to be tied with a blank space in mind. And so if you're still being anxious, and if you're still working your mind when you take a break and take a rest, then that's just anxiety in disguise, and it only worsens your mental state more. And second is, I need you to reflect on when you rest, because we are kind of taught that we should only rest when we have done enough, that we have finished all of our goals, we have checked off all of the boxes on our to-do list. But have we ever thought of rests as like spontaneous rests, unscheduled rests? Because honestly, if rests have to be scheduled, justified, and planned, and you only get rests when you're exhausted, then it just kind of becomes another part of that grind. It just becomes another task for you. And thus, when you only allow yourself to rest when you feel completely tired, then it's basically just telling you that you're only producing at self-deficit, and that is mirroring what you think of yourself. Is that you only think of yourself as worthy when you're producing something. You're connecting self-worth to productivity. So rest will not work if you keep connecting anxiety to it. If you keep connecting your self-worth to productivity, rest will not work. Do you guys know the term couch potato? Does anyone know about this term? Raise your hand if you have heard about this funny couch potato term. Okay, a few people. So if looking at this picture, you can see a potato lying on a couch. So it's kind of a satire joke, satire reference of the people who just lie on the couch and just sinking in the couch to watch television. So it's kind of implying that they're just lazy. And there's this research from Self magazine that shows that people who call themselves couch potatoes actually experience so much more stress and feel so stressed out after rest than people that just rest and think of nothing. So that really mirrors my point again about how if you still think during rest, if you still have anxiety during rest, and you still believe that productivity is linked to your self-worth, then you will not experience real rest, because guilt kills out the real benefits of rest. So, guilt kills recovery, and rest doesn't work when you're still ashamed of it. And I know that the concept of taking unscheduled breaks, taking spontaneous breaks outside of your schedule sounds indisciplined. But here's the idea. I'm not saying that we should throw out structure completely. I'm not saying that we should never stick to a schedule. What I'm saying is that you shouldn't let a schedule or these time blockers like Pomodoro timers, blockers, you don't make that control you to the point that you feel guilty when you need a break outside of the system. Because if you want a spontaneous break and you still feel guilty about it due to this system, then it's basically just still burning you out, and you're still in that burning out cycle. So if you really want to gain your time back and get a real rest, then first, you have to rethink of the perception you have of yourself about self-worth and productivity, because those aren't linked together. And second of all, you have to use these time tools wisely. Don't make it control you to the point that you don't feel comfortable taking breaks outside of it anymore. Because sometimes the best, the honest, and the most relieving kind of therapy and breaks you get are the ones that are unscheduled. And so, if you were to take off one thing from my speech today, let it please be this quote. Instead of you measuring your success by how relentless you grind, please measure it by how long you can maintain without burning out. And please start taking rests, unscheduled rests, and you don't have to justify those rests in your brain. Take rests that you feel comfortable with, and your mind has to be blank while taking those rests. And until you're able to redefine your self-worth with productivity, self-worth is not linked to productivity, because self-worth is revealed and it is grounded in your inner self. So when it is no longer tied to productivity nor time, then self-worth is really revealed. And this is a quote I really like that I'd like to put at the end of my speech. When the world demands toxic productivity, contemplation is a radical act. So don't see it as laziness. Rest is essential, and spontaneous rests, unscheduled rests, is essential for you. Thank you.